Came from the mud, there's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree, there's roots where I stand. Oh, I've been running.
Good day and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, sound enthusiasts, anybody who wants to know more about sound or has an absolute passion for sound. My name's Cameron and I'm joined here with Gideon from Bothners, and we'd like to take you through the basics of a PA setup.
We're going to be showing you how a couple of basic features work on a mixer just like this one. So thanks for joining us.
Alright guys, before we get into the setup of the mixer and the speakers and getting sound through the system, there's a number of safety precautions that we're going to have to consider, such as surge protection.
Very simple, easy solution. You know, this is going to save you lots of problems down the line.
Before anything else, plug your main 3-prong connector into a wall socket with the power switched off. We highly recommend using a surge protector. That is basically a device that limits the amount of current or voltage through your system. In a country with an unstable power grid, you can find surges or spikes, which means it's an excessive amount of power that is running through electrical cabling. That can cause a lot of damage to your equipment. If the light on your surge protector is dim, flickering or off, it means that it has done its job and needs to be replaced.
The next thing to consider in terms of safety precautions will be powering on your equipment. And you've got to make sure that when you plug your power cables into your equipment, all equipment should be turned off. Next, we will be plugging the power into the mixer as well as the speakers and turning the system on. Firstly, make sure the power switches are off on both the mixer as well as the speakers. Make sure the volume pots on your speakers as well as your amplifier are turned to 0. Proceed to plug the kettle plugs into the power sockets on the equipment. Make sure the kettle plugs are secure to ensure that the system runs efficiently through use. Plug a kettle plug into the power socket on the mixing desk and make sure the power switch is off. Now that the power is connected, let's connect the mixer to the speakers. Plug the balanced XLR female connectors into the left and right outputs on the mixer. Now, plug the male XLR connector into the back of the speaker. Once plugged in, you need to make sure that the master fader on the mixer is turned all the way down. Now that we've got everything plugged in, from the power to the audio cables from the mixer to the speakers, we are going to think about switching the system on.
And this is where the fun starts. Let's look for a signal.
Now you can finally turn the switches on. Turn the mixer on first and then proceed to turn on the speakers. Turn your volume to 12 o'clock on the back of the speakers. And now you're ready to get some signal through the system.
Now, looking for a signal, we're going to plug the microphone into a microphone cable, as such. The other end of the microphone cable, we're going to plug into a microphone preamp that looks like this.
Fantastic. Now that everything's been connected safely, it's time to look for an audio signal. Guys, when you saw this the first time, I'm sure you were intimidated, but rest assured, these are all split into different channels.
And we'll be taking a look specifically at channel 1.
The first thing we want to do when looking for signal coming down the channel is to turn open the gain knob. Now, in simple terms, the gain knob can be considered like the main entrance into your channel. The wider you open it, the more signal comes through, so don't turn it up too high. Make sure that your channel is assigned to the left and right main output. We'll be touching more on these buttons a little bit later, but this should send your signal through to the main fader. Now we're going down the channel strip. The first place we're going to stop is the mute button. Make sure that the mute button is off. The mute button basically just cuts off the signal coming through at any given point in time. Then we're going to turn up the fader slightly. Now you can turn up your master volume fader slightly into a safe position, usually indicated at a 0 dB. Now you should see some levels coming through on your UV meter. Please make sure that your UV meter does not go into orange or red, because that will mean that there's too much signal going through that channel and that may damage your speakers.
The high Z or high impedance switch is usually used when connecting instruments that have a high output impedance, such as guitars and basses. If not activated, the sound of the instrument can appear altered. Next, we are looking at the insert socket. This is generally used to take the signal out of a channel and then bring it straight back, almost like a signal loop. These are generally used with signal processors like compressors and effects units. Not all mixers come with built-in compression, but the compression pot will allow you to control the signal's dynamic range. The more you turn it up, the more it will make loud sounds softer and soft sounds louder. This mixer has a 3-band EQ, with bands for the treble, mids, as well as bass. These allow you to manipulate the sound of your instrument or voice by taking out or accentuating certain frequencies. Auxiliary channels control your monitor mixers. The more auxiliary sends your mixer has, the more separate mixers you can send to the musicians. This allows them to hear themselves clearly while the whole band is playing. Most mixers come with a built-in effects engine that allows you to put a delay or a reverb onto the signal, making it less harsh to the ear. The pan pot allows you to control the position of your instrument or voice. By panning left or right, you can create a space in your mix, allowing every input to have its own unique position, thus improving the clarity of your mix.
Alright guys, now that we've had a look at the basic setup of a PA system, the safety precautions behind it, as well as the function of all the parameters on a mixing channel.
In our next video, we're going to be taking a closer look at utilizing these parameters in order to get the best sound. In other words, we're going to start mixing.
So from Gideon and myself, cheers for now.